Do you want more? More time, more balance, more love, more sex, more money, more real, and less bullshit? This is the Women Wanting More podcast with Dr. Karen Osborne. Real life, real stories, plus real tips to get you more of what you want.
So let's talk today about gratitude. Gratitude is one of those things that's talked about a lot. People that have a gratitude journal or that just use that word gratitude a lot, like somehow as if you just become grateful for the things in your life will change. And that sounds like bullshit, right? How can you be grateful if your life is in the shit right now? How can you be grateful if things are not going well in your marriage? How can you be grateful if things are not going well with your kids? If you've gained a ton of weight and you can't seem to take it off? If your energy's low and you feel like it's just a struggle to get through every single day? How can you feel grateful if you're looking at your bank account and it's in the negative? Is any of this familiar to you? How can you be grateful if you hate what you do? You hate your job. Business is not going well. I remember hearing this a while back, and I don't know who it was who said it. Maybe it was Brene Brown? I don't know. But it really, really rang true with me. And this is really what I want to speak about today, which is this, is that gratitude is a practice. Gratitude is a practice. So what does that mean? It means that true gratitude is not something you just express when you feel grateful. So if I took all those other examples before and we just spun them around, right? We went, man, I'm so easy to be grateful. It's like, I'm so connected with my husband. My kids are like awesome. And we've got more than enough money in our bank account and business is booming and I've never felt stronger and leaner and healthier and more energy. Oh, I'm just so thankful. Like that's easy, right? It's easy to express love when you feel loved by your husband. But how about on the days that you don't? How about on the days where you don't really feel like life is peachy keen? Can you still express gratitude, sister? And this is where gratitude becomes a practice. And like anything that you practice, it becomes easier. You get better at it over time. But I bet you could speak to any professional athlete that still says, man, I got days when it's like, I don't feel like going to practice. I don't feel like training. I don't feel like working out. I just feel like watching TV and eating a bag of chips. Gratitude is a practice. So my husband's going through a lot of stress with some things in his life right now with his health and business. And, we're just not even 2 months into when we moved here to Victoria and massive life changes that I've talked about a bunch of times on the podcast about. And so, it's also somewhat to be expected. There's just a lot of shift happening in our life right now. However, one thing I said to him last night was like, honey, I noticed there's one thing that you've stopped doing. And he was posting up on Facebook each morning the sunrise or just the outside of our house. And it would just be something simple like grateful for this day. And it's something very outside of the norm of who my husband is. It's not like he's not a grateful person, but he's just not outwardly gushy about it. That's just not who Ed is. And so I noticed that as his mood and stress level and, I can just look at it. I mean, you're married to, your husband, you're with someone long enough. We've been together for almost 24 years. Like, we know each other very well. Probably better than we know ourselves at times, right? So I don't even have to see those things. I can just, I sense it, I feel it, I see it in his physiology. Things have changed a bit. And it's not good or bad. It's not a judgment. It just is for him right now. And so what I said to him, I was like, babe, babe, you were doing that posting like every single day, like would like put a picture of he's holding his coffee mug and the sun's rise, right? Or just outside of our house, or, you know, deer that happen to come into our side of our house, into our garden, right? Or one of the boys fell asleep on him, or hanging out with him. What I've noticed in my life, sister, without a doubt, is that when I practice gratitude on a daily basis, my life is different. My life is better. My life is better. And there will be days when you're like, what am I grateful for today? Nothing. Nothing. It all sucks. Life is hard. Life is unfair. That person did this to me. Blah, blah, blah. Run all the stories. And again, this is when gratitude becomes a practice. What I've noticed since I moved here, and you know, we've created a lot of things within our life to where we now are to get to this place, and there's another level up and another one. There is not like a whew, we got here. We arrived. Yes, done. That's not the game of expansion that I live in. The game that I live in is it's like, well, what's next now? This is great. We did all these things. Look what we did. Holy shit. We got here. So, you know, there were times it's easy for me to look around and just be like, oh my God, look where I live. Like just walked my son to school. I'm grateful that I get a chance to be able to do that. He's been also, too, very attached to daddy doing it these days. So I haven't walked him to school for probably about 2 weeks. So I'm grateful, number one, that my son was like, yeah, mommy, let's, you know, I told him I walked him to school today. He's like, great. Although he was a bit of a grumpy mood today. However, we got there. Number two, I'm grateful that I just live in a city where we live close to school. We can walk, where the weather is beautiful year-round, where we can walk year-round to school. Grateful that my boy gets movement every single morning before he then goes into school. I just find myself like catching, you know, I'll be out doing things throughout the day or on calls, and if I'm on my deck taking calls and coaching clients, I look out and I'm like, there's a mountain, there's a mountain. Look at this view I have. Like it almost just seems surreal at times that I just have to like take a pause and just be like, thank you. I'm grateful for what I have, for where I am, for right now. Now, could that moment change an hour from now? Absolutely. That is the reality of life. There are some tough things. Life is it's not designed to be easy. Life is supposed to be hard. There's supposed to be these moments of crisis and trauma and shit that comes up because of the lessons and the gifts that we learn. They make us better. But then there are those moments of ease and flow, and it's just like, thank you. But again, gratitude is a practice. Daily. Now, some people like to, as I mentioned at the top of this podcast, some people like to have a gratitude journal. Still getting used to the big hills. I'm walking around recording podcasts. So when you hear me breathing, it's just like whew, let me just catch my breath for a second, because they're like steep. They're awesome, but they're steep. Some people too, just, you know, they just take a pause in their day. Maybe whether they write it down in a journal, express it to somebody. One of the things that I teach my clients, actually talked about in my webinar yesterday, on how to reconnect with your husband without years of therapy. And I taught 3 simple tips. Which, by the way, if you're listening to this episode shortly after it's come out, the replay will still be up for that webinar to watch for the next about 48 hours. So, big hill again. You'll see the link in the show notes for you to actually watch that. But one of the things I actually teach is to express that gratitude to your husband daily through a text message. What you honor about him, what you love about him, what you appreciate about him. Something that takes maybe a minute or 2 of your day. But that expression of gratitude that compounds and builds over time is huge. It's huge, sister. Gratitude. Just about every single successful person that I know and that I've read about, right? Top CEOs of companies, actors, musicians, writers, entrepreneurs, talk about this. That gratitude is a big part of why they are where they are. So here's your more tip for today then, sister. For the next 7 days, I want you to either have like a time. Some people I know will actually set a timer on their phone, right? So every single day, that certain time, it goes off. It's a reminder for them to say, let me just stop and just reflect on what I'm grateful for. And I want you to really think about it. Just don't go through the road like, I'm grateful for my husband, I'm grateful for my kids, I'm grateful for my house, grateful for my job, I'm grateful for my family. Like, just don't make it rote, but like one thing. Like, just think about that. What are you grateful for in that day? In that moment when that alarm goes off? Or you could do it as a daily practice in the morning. But for the next 7 days, I want you to practice gratitude. I want you to either have a timer on your phone, have it go off, or you can do it and write it down every single day. Maybe as a practice at the beginning of your day or end of your day, and write down what you're grateful for. And then after those 7 days, I want you to write down what that experience was like for you. How did you feel differently? Maybe you didn't. How did you treat people? How did you treat yourself? So what are the insights that have come up when you practice gratitude on a daily basis for 7 days? My intention, you'll do this every single day. But what comes up for you when you do this over those 7 days? So listen, if you haven't heard already, I have a brand new website, drkarenosburn.com. That's drkarenosburn.com. I want you to head over there right now and check it out. Make sure to subscribe to the Women Wanting More newsletter. There's a couple different places where you'll be able to opt into the newsletter. And that way we will connect daily, you and I. Yes, these podcast episodes, all my master classes that are coming up, my live events. So right now as I record this, there's 3 seats that are left. The next group mastermind that I'm running coming up in about the next 2 to 4 weeks. One-on-one coaching that's available, my book that's coming out, all the videos that I produce, I often put out in the newsletter. So make sure to head over to drkarenosburn.com, sign up for the newsletter, and you can check out all the content on there today. So I will talk to you in the next episode, sister. A life of more. It's just one step away from you really doing the fucking work every single day. I'm grateful for you being here today, sister. Love and appreciate you.
To get the show notes of each Women Wanting More episode, including the How to Get More tip, subscribe to the newsletter at drkarenosburn.com/newsletter.